this is Reverend Don Lewis, and welcome to another episode of Living the Wiccan Life. Recently, I was privileged to attend one of the many parties being held this year for Circle's 35th anniversary. This party was at PantheaCon in California, and I was very lucky to be able to do a number of interviews with people attending. In this episode, I'd like to bring you my interview with Circle Minister Shel Skau. I'm sure you'll enjoy the interview.
My name is Shel Skau, and I currently live in Illinois, and I'm a Circle Sanctuary minister and community member of Circle Sanctuary for more years than I care to admit to here.
and we're here tonight at the 35th anniversary party being held at PantheaCon for Circle.
Absolutely. We decided this year we would take that party on the road. You know, nothing like having the celebration be drug out for many weeks and months, and everywhere we want to go, we want to be able to celebrate those things. Very excited to be out here on a different coast. A lot of times folks are surprised, you know, everybody does the, where are you? I'm like, oh, from Illinois, the Midwest. And so it's very fun to be in a much different area of the country and surprise folks that we came as far as we did. So fun.
Well, 35 years is a long time, and I know that Circle has had a long journey. And
yes.
would you like to say anything to what Circle is, what Circle does, and some of the successes and difficulties along the way?
You know, that is a great question, and one that I'm not going to be able to answer in any way, shape, or form in a complete sense. But, you know, let me think about some of the pieces to that are important to me. I think that one of the things I love the most about Circle in the years I've been here is the diversity and the ever-changing nature of it. I think that as I think about some of the things that happened in Circle before my time, or the things that I hear about that are now legend, pagan urban legend, or truth, or maybe embellished stories that we like to tell around the fire and those kinds of things, the thing that always impresses me about those is that the things that were occurring at that time seemed like that was what those folks needed at that time. And I'm so impressed and awed about the ever-changing kind of focus or shape, or the way things emerged, and how they just ended up being serendipitously what needed to happen at that point in time. And so in my years here, it's been really interesting to continue to watch that shift, and to watch the people who came, needed, you know, whatever it was they needed from Circle or from that community, was able to foster those things. And then, you know, folks move, they, you know, go away. We have such a large group of community for Circle. You know, the PSG site was in Ohio. Well, you know, before my time it was in Eagle Cave, and then went to Ohio, and people were so sad, and you know, there was that change and that drama, and a lot of people didn't go to Ohio because it was just too far and they weren't able to get there. And then the Circle community and the PSG community kind of had to reinvent itself, added a whole bunch of new faces, unfortunately lost some others, but just that whole reinvention. And so then now, of course, we're in a similar situation where we are again going to have a new site, and are so sad that some people aren't going to be able to make it, because we had so many people from the Ohio area coming, and they're not now able to afford to travel that far, but yet have all of these other folks that were Eagle Cavians, is that a term, who are so thrilled that it's closer again. And so once again, it's this ability for Circle to, you know, you can't be everything to everyone, but the idea that as things change and transition, you know, what that person needed, more often than not they got. And so that's kind of that really neat dynamic thing about Circle that I really enjoy. So that didn't even remotely answer your question, but it's just something I think is cool about an organization that's been around that long.
Would you like to talk a little bit about what you do with Circle?
Well, you know, that has changed significantly. I can remember I was sharing a story in the hospitality suite earlier about the old days where I used to work in the office doing volunteer work, answer the phones, try to get Barnes & Noble to sell the Circle magazine. It didn't kind of matter what, you know, anything that made sense at the time. But I remember the old days when we would get together and have the work parties and hand stuff the envelopes where the Circle Network News came out, you know, lick that on our our own, all of the office things that we used to do, by hand and have people come in. And so that was a very fun time for me to be able to be that involved in those things, to kind of be intimately involved in a lot of the prayer and healing requests that came in. So that was very fun. As the years passed, I did a lot of intra-faith work for Circle Sanctuary when I was in my ministerial training. It was a big focus of mine, is taking the bookstore on the road and being able to go to other festivals and meet new people and make connections within our pagan communities and make sure that we were all able to share resources and those kinds of things. So then, of course, I moved to Illinois, and it was a little farther away, so I don't get to do those things as much and be on the land as much as I used to be. But now I am doing a lot of distance connection as opposed to distance learning, whereas the community that I'm in now, I live outside of Northern Illinois University, and so there's a new Pagan Student Association group that's being started on site with some Circle ministers assisting with that, so that's very exciting. I, of course, love the role that I play at PSG, and of course, as a minister, love doing the weddings and baby blessings. That's always the bonus of the priestess work of those kinds of things. But it really is the interfaith and the intra-faith work that really does kind of feed my soul, and that's kind of assisting in the larger landscape of things and trying to help larger pagan issues, and in regards to doing with the interfaith work, just kind of helping people feel comfortable with paganism as a whole, and no matter where I'm at or what's going on or how things are going, if that opportunity presents itself for me to be able to provide some education, that is always kind of exciting for me. So I enjoy that.
Wonderful. Let me ask you, how did you come to this path?
Wow, that's very interesting. I had the very fortunate opportunity when I was a lot younger to take some classes through a community education course taught by a white woman who had been taught by an elderly Ojibwa woman who had to make that really difficult, painful decision. She wanted to teach her path to her lineage, but did not have enough Native Americans that were interested and willing in learning that. And as she was getting older, she was afraid those things would just, pass with her passing. So she taught this white woman, and I took a lot of those classes, and that was, it's just an incredibly fabulous faith, and the chanting and all of the earth-based things just really very much spoke to me. But I very much honor that dilemma that this very nice woman had to make, and I honor the white teacher who taught me those things. But I just really have to say, in my heart, I felt like a poser, and that path was not going to work well for me, even though I honor individuals who feel like they are indeed honoring that tradition and keeping it alive so that they can pass it on to other folks. But it just didn't work for me. But the whole idea of, I grew up in a rural community, farming was everywhere, and so the fact that the seasons and that the holidays would revolve around the seasons, and that the practical things that we did on a regular basis in regards to my farming community, it just made perfect sense to me that would then be a part of my organized spiritual practice. And like everyone else, stumbled across a book that, got me into all sorts of things that provided me with more education and more things. And then just serendipitously moved very close to Circle Sanctuary. And of course, everyone's heard of Selena Fox, and was able to go and see her speak, and then just ended up at an event one day, and I think maybe it was the next day I was in over my head. No, I'm just kidding. And volunteering for everything that I could volunteer for, and that's just pretty much how it goes. So,
if people would like to learn more about you and more about your personal ministerial work,
absolutely.
Where would you send them?
You know what? You can go to the Circle Sanctuary website, which is circlesanctuary.org, and at the top there is a little link that says Ministers, and if you click on that, then you'll see all of the ministers of Circle Sanctuary are listed, and all of our contact information is listed there, and you can get a hold of me that way. The other thing you could do to learn a little bit more about me is in the Circle Sanctuary magazine, we have a new column called Bringing Spirit Home, which I have been writing all sorts of information about making mundane tasks more spiritual and the way that we can change our thinking about those things, so that, yes indeed, sweeping the house and dusting might be something that you will eventually enjoy. So you can check it out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of this lovely party.
I plan to.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I hope that you enjoyed this interview and that you'll join us again next time for more of Living the Wiccan Life. Until then, may you blessed be. This October, the world of pagan voices comes together in one global gathering, the Pagan World Congress. 5 days, over 100 hours, speakers, rituals, music, and town halls streamed across the world. Join the conversation, shape the future, be part of history. The Pagan World Congress, October 9th through 13th, 2025. Online at paganworld.co.